Know Your Law grants you knowledge and only on EBN TV. Good evening once again. My name is Consolata Chibalonza. Thank you very much for joining us for this exciting session, a session that I love so much because, you know, I love the law. And now with me is an important person of the society. I call them important because they have taken the time to digest the Constitution of Kenya just for our sake. This is for us, not actually for them. As much as it will help them in one way or the other, but we benefit more. With me as a lawyer by the name of Wangila, I will not try to say the second one. He will say it himself, and I will allow him also to introduce himself, and then he'll tell us more about what he does before we can introduce the session. Welcome.
Thank you, Chibalonza. My name is Wangila Waliaula. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I think this is my 9th year of practice, so I've been around the block.
You're not new.
Yes. I've been around the block, yes.
And how has it been for you practicing?
Like any other profession, it has its days. It has its ups and downs, but so far, so good.
So far, so good.
Yes.
So let's get right into it. So today we're talking about labor laws. First of all, in a nutshell, what are the labor laws that we have?
I'll probably could rephrase the question in terms of what do you mean, what are the labor laws?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is the question exactly?
When we say we have laws as laborers, what exactly does it mean? What exactly is the Constitution trying to do?
Okay, good. So now I get you. Okay, labor laws basically means the laws that govern the relationship between an employer and an employee. Yes, like you are an employee.
Yeah.
There's the laws that govern your relationship with your employer.
Yeah.
And of course, these laws are guaranteed in our constitution. We have, I think it's Article 41. Yeah, that gives every person a right to fair labor laws, fair employment practices, the rights to picket, rights to unions. Those are the labor laws of this country, yes. Those are, and they're enshrined in the Constitution of Kenya, 2010. And they are further enshrined by an act of parliament, which is the Employment Act 2007, with the several amendments that have gone through, yes.
So if I am to be employed today, what are the things that I must look out for before signing a contract?
Okay, the first thing, of course, the best thing that the first and the most important one, of course, is to have that employment contract. That is the most important thing. That one, at least, it will now reduce your relationship with your employer in writing. And then, of course, a salary. That's what the Employment Act will give you. What salary am I getting? The next thing that probably you might want to be looking at is what are the terms, of course, of employment. Leave days, of course. Leave days are enshrined in the law, but there are some people who like to cut corners. So, what benefits am I getting from this kind of employment relationship? And then, of course, tiny other benefits. And of course, what is my job description? That's a very important point. What am I being employed to do? So if, like you, Chibalonza, you are a news anchor, that your role should not involve, of course, opening the gate, should not involve cooking tea. Okay, you can cook tea, but it's, that's not part of your job description. You do it probably for your own self. Yes.
Okay. What about the details of the contract themselves? Are they stipulated in the Constitution, or is it solely dependent on the company that one is trying to be employed into?
No, the Constitution just gives the rights of employees, and like I said, the right of employees is fair remuneration. The rights of an employee, like being able to having a fair salary, you know, their rights, of course, to adequate remuneration. But now, when it comes to, of course, the details of the employment relationship, they are not guided, of course, by the Constitution. They are not. Some of them are guided by. There are some which are guided by the Act, but majorly. A contract is a coming into terms between two parties. So we always say that there's something we call in law privity of contract, that a contract is binding between two people, the maker of the contract and the receiver of the contract. So the person, both parties will sign this contract, and that contract is binding upon them. Of course, there are some provisions of the law that you cannot go against in terms of the employment contract, because the employment contract is the relationship between employer and employee. So it outlines all the things that employer expects from the employee. Some of them not necessarily guided by by the Employment Act, but guided by the corporate structure of the company, the human resource manual of the organization, if they have it. So yeah, so it is guided by so many things, but there are some things which the law sets as a minimum. You know, you understand? Like for example, something like leave days. The Employment Act gives a minimum of 21 days. So, but you'll find that there are some employers who will give the employees more than 21 days. Yeah, 24, 20. But you can't go below 21 days. Yes. So there is also some laws, like for example, the law of Kenya does not allow an employer to reduce the salary of an employee without consulting the employee. So those are things which are strictly in the law, and you cannot go against them.
Thank you very much. Now, for when it comes to the remuneration part of it, there are some stipulations in the Constitution or in the Acts that says some type of labor should receive a certain minimum salary for some work. Now, once you find yourself inside that industry, you didn't know, you've already signed your contract. For example, if you're supposed to be receiving a minimum of 30,000 Kenyan shillings per month, you've already signed your contract and you're receiving, let's say, 15,000 Kenyan shillings. Are you able to call out the employer and be like, hey, I'm 15,000 less, or can the employer say, you already signed it, that's what you're going with?
Okay. Now, you remember when I told you that that in as much as you and the employer can come into an agreement, there are some terms in which the employer cannot go beyond what is set by the law. And the minimum wage is one of them. The things like minimum wage are those aspects where they are set by law. Like you see when the government announces in terms of the labor on Labor Day, and then they come and say that the minimum wage for, let's say, our security guards, because those are you know, I think that's where you are going with this question. Yes. Where the government says that this is what we expect you to pay as a minimum wage to your employees, and you cannot go below this. So the employer will be at fault. Will be going against the law if they pay the employee lower than what the law has prescribed, and that's why, and that can be remedied, of course, through various ways. The employee can be remedied if you go to court. With such a situation, the court will, and in most occasions that it has done that, it has always awarded the employee the difference. Like if they used to pay you 15,000, they'll pay you the difference of that amount for the duration of the time that you worked. You know, depending also on whether there was salary increments or not. But now in this term, you already signed the contract and you agreed with the 15,000. Yes, you did agree, but you see, a contract that we there's something called a void contract. and this is a contract that that you people agree to go against the law is a void contract. You see, if you decide to sign an agreement to traffic children, does it become legitimate? So a contract that goes against the law is a void contract.
It's a void contract.
Yes.
So how if I realize, for example, I'm watching right now and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not receiving my salary as stipulated. How can I go about it?
I think various organizations will have the various ways of dealing with it. And depending on the organization that you are in, and if you have a properly working HR department, so to speak, then that is something that you raise with the human resource HR department and say that, okay, of course, this is what the law says, and I think I'm entitled to this. Yes.
If the HR in charge is not willing to abide by that, what happens?
Again, the Constitution gives you the right to form unions. Yes, it gives you the right to form unions, and through your unions, you can stage a strike. That's why employees stage protests. Yes.
And do they work? First of all, are these strikes constitutional? Can't I?
Yes.
Will I lose my job if I join a strike?
No, but that's why I'm saying that's a constitutional right. The right to be in your union is captured under Article 41. The right to be part of a trade union is part of, like I said, Article 41. The right to picket, the right to go on strike, is encompassed in the law. That's why teachers can go on strike without being, that's why the government is very scared when, they know that these are right. And if you have a union, then you have a right to go. And you see, that's why there's a procedure for when you want to go on strike. So you have to give notice and all those things. Yes. Yeah.
So let's go to the teachers, just as you had mentioned. The other day, there were teachers who were sent all the way to Northeastern. They declined, and then the government threatened to sue them or to fire them completely and maybe revoke their teaching licenses. Is that constitutional? Okay.
Again, remember that the employment relationship is contractual.
Yeah.
That I have offered employment and you have taken employment. I have offered to pay you for a service and you have offered to offer the service and take the money. Yes. Now, in this situation where you've given an example where teachers, and also, but when doing that job that you are doing, it should not jeopardize, your safety and your right. True. Because if you are going in an area that there's hardship, and there's a likelihood, which there was a greater likelihood of them being injured. Then, of course, the law, they cannot force you to go to somewhere where you are likely to go and face persecution or even be killed as such. Yes.
What are the laws that are protecting me as an employer at work?
An employer?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, the only law that we have that deals with employment is the Employment Act. It protects both the employee and the employer. And of course, if you go around, you will hear people saying that our law on employment is pro-employee. So it benefits more the employee than employer.
I love the fact that you're always one step ahead of me, because I was coming there. And I was asking all this time, it's about the employee, what the employee gets, what the employer is willing to do for the employee. What about the employer? How does the Constitution cover the employer?
Okay. I think where our law is coming from, when it was amended and we had the Employment Act 2007, it was coming again as a backdrop of where employers used to run roughshod on the employees. So with the lobbying by COTU, then we got an act which now generally did not take away any rights from the employer. It just solidified the rights of the employee. So the employer pretty much has a lot of rights. He has a right to fire you summarily for gross misconduct, for being lazy, for not performing. Those are the rights of the employer. They have a right to do that. They have a right to declare the redundancy, to say all of you are fired, all of you. So those are the rights of the employer. Yes, they have the right to promote you or not promote you if you're not working according to what they want. So yeah, the employers generally, of course, they hold the bigger end of the stick. Yes, that's why the employee has to be given a little bit leeway in terms of holding of the stick. Yes.
What happens to those people who are not part of unions but still they're being maltreated or they're not being treated well in their places of work?
Yes, of course. When like I said, the employment relationship is a relationship between the employer and the employee, guided by the contract. Yes. And there are various, of course, ways of handling that. Like I said, again, you have the human resource. Like I said, that is the disciplinarian of the workplace, indisciplined and all those things. Yeah. So if you feel you're being mistreated, then you have a HR. For those organizations that do not have HR, then you have you have the person who is immediately hired. If that person is the one who is mistreating you, then you know what to do. Then if you cannot be in a place where you cannot work and work properly, then you don't need to be there. Yes.
Can I sue the person?
Yes.
Can I sue them?
For what?
For mistreating me, for mishandling me.
You know. As a there's no right as such to be treated well. You cannot like force somebody. You cannot force your fellow employee to be nice to you. Okay. You cannot force your boss to be nice to you, to smile to you. And you see, we have different emotional, personalities. Yes. So that will just depend on you, because the relationship between employer and employee, if at all your employer is not nice to you, you have two choices. Like I said, you have two choices: you complain or you resign. You can resign. Yes. If it's discrimination, then you have a right. Again, in the Constitution, you can say now this is discrimination. For instance, we have had situations where employers dismiss employees, probably a female who just got pregnant, and then you get sacked. That is a right which under Section 5 of the Employment Act, it prohibits against any form of discrimination, age, gender, those kind of things. So you can go to court and sue your employer for that kind of discrimination. Yes.
And if I sue the lawyer, is the lawyer if I sue the employee, is the employee obliged to take you back?
No, it's not. Of course, when you take somebody to court, for example, for say sacking you or something, there are usually various remedies. Of course, one of them is to be paid damages, to be paid gratuity, and another statement. When it comes to mostly private organizations, the courts will rarely reinstate you, because if our employment relationship is done, it's done. Even if they reinstate you, you'll just find another reason now to fight it. The major places where we see people being reinstated are like government. Of course, the government belongs to all of us. There's nobody who is entitled to one place in government and the other. So in the government you can be reinstated, but when it comes to private, it's that's somebody's business. If they don't want you there, the best thing you can get is to take them to court and then let them pay you for the unfair termination.
As an advocate, what are the cases that you would encourage someone listening to you to bring to you should they see it or note it at their place of work?
Not to me, to any other advocate.
Okay, to any other advocate. Yes, to an advocate.
Instances where you would want to see, of course, a lawyer are, of course, when you are summarily dismissed. When you worked for somebody and then out of nowhere they dismiss you. And if this dismissal is not as per the contract. Most of the contract, according to the law, is that you need to give at least a month's notice. If you're not going to give that notice, then you need to pay in lieu of that notice. So your employer can pay you to fire you. Like I'm paying you so that you can go. Yes.
Okay.
So if right now they don't like how you look, just say, I'm paying you for this month, I just want you to go.
Just go.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. We're taking a short break and we'll be back to continue with the conversation. Send in your questions on EBN TV across all our social media platforms. Our numbers are there for texting either on WhatsApp or on our SMS line. My name is Chibalonza and I am with the lawyer Wangila here, or advocate Wangila here. And I hope you're going to have a good time, ready to take in your questions. We'll be back.
The 2010 Constitution, as of the 27th of August, became the rule of law.
Every Thursday from 8:30 p.m.
Listen, every man needs God. And every man needs to learn to humble himself before God.
Enjoy teachings from Pastor Chris Oyakilome.
Here's what the Lord is instructing you to do. Prepare yourself in the Word of God. Feed your faith. Prepare yourself in the Word.
Build your faith and get to know who you are in Christ Jesus.
Feed your faith. There's a spiritual attack of some kind through sickness. Build your faith strong.
Every Thursday from 8:30 p.m. on EBN TV, transforming your world.
Watching EBN TV, transforming your world. You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
The 2010 Constitution, as of the 27th of August, became the rule of law. What rights do you have? What does the Constitution provide? What chapter? What article? What act?
Know Your Law grants you knowledge and activates the power of the people. Join me, Consolata Chibalonza, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Know Your Law, only on EBN TV.
The 2010 Constitution, as of the 27th of August, became the rule of law. What rights do you have? What does the Constitution provide? What chapter? What article? What act?
Know Your Law grants you knowledge and activates the power of the people. Join me, Consolata Chibalonza, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Know Your Law, only on EBN TV. Thank you very much for being with us, and we're at our final minutes, and I would love us to bring this to a close by asking you, have you signed your contract? Do you have a working contract, a functioning contract that allows you to be at your place of work? And now I would ask this to my wakili here. Wakili, how important is it to have a contract?
Of course, like I said, employment contract is what governs your working relationship with your employer. So if you have no contract, then you are working at a risk of being your rights being trampled upon. Because if you don't have a contract, then for instance you agree with the employer to pay you 100,000 and then they come and pay you 80,000. Where will you go and say this is what we agreed?
Yeah.
There's no gentleman's agreement. And I think for any person who's out there, law students, and they know that the basics of a contract is it should be written
in writing,
so that it can be legally enforceable. So for instance, if you worked for 10 years for somebody without ever having a contract, even if he decides to fire you and you take him to court, what will he be referring to? Yeah. What if that person says he has never seen you in a day in their life? What will he do?
Okay, your parting shot, maybe.
Probably my parting shot about employment law is that what I would like to, and this is something which is very common, and I'll give a parting shot to employers and employees.
Yeah, okay.
First thing, employers always have an employment contract with your employees. It does not matter what sort of person, what sort of job they do. Even your cleaner. In fact, the most lethal people right now, in terms of an employment to an employer, are the so-called low-income people. Your gardener, your house help, your gate man. Those are the most lethal people.
Yeah.
According to the law, you cannot, especially the things that those ones that say that they are casual, even here where you are.
Yeah.
Don't say this person is a cleaner, is casual. He's casual and he's been working there for 5 years. That's not a casual anymore as an employee. So there's no casual there's no casual laborer past 3 months.
Okay.
After 3 months, even if there's no employment contract, that person is an employee. So employers must take that in caution. For the employees, all I can say is that you have option, you have rights. I think we are in a modern world, and you need to know how to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Being unable to stand up for yourself is what makes employers to maybe to trample upon your rights. And of course, just know as an employee, you have a right to be in a union, even if you are 5 people. And employers don't like that, because once you have a union, then you have a bigger voice.
Yeah.
They cannot target any individual person. Once you are dissatisfied, speak as a whole,
union.
because once you become the employer will always look for who's the cheerleader, and then they tackle you. That's all I can say.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Sadly, this is the end of Know Your Law. I do hope it was insightful to you as it was to me. We need to join unions, guys. There are plenty of unions. We have covered stories on the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, and we have covered Kenya National Union of Teachers, Kenya National Union of this, Kenya National Union of this. Are you part of a union? Make sure you join one, and make sure you are working under a contract. And as our Kili has said, 3 months, you're no longer a casual worker, you're an employee. Go get yourself a contract. This is Know Your Law. My name is Consolata Chibalonza, and with me was Advocate Wangila Waliaula. Got it correct? Guys, tomorrow I'm a lawyer. Thank you very much. Have a good night, and until next time, God bless.
The 2010 Constitution, as of the 27th of August, became the rule of law. What
watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
chuki nyingi duniani, ugomvi pia fitina. Najua ni kwa wakati Baba